So I'm speaking to someone who, you know, why they've been trying to shut you up so much. You know that moment when you realize and you're like, oh, they didn't want me to speak because I could see. You can see what's going on. Like you can see what's going on. So I'm going to share a story from like years ago when one of my sisters got married. So she was 30 at the time. So 10 years ago now. She was 30 at the time. And firstly, before I continue with that, my intention here is to share that one, we are coming into the period of our lives where we are going to understand why we need to support our spiritual brothers and sisters more, because our family members who were supposed to be able to help us for the majority didn't. Do you see what I mean? So they weren't um in the unconditional love. They were very conditionally based, even though it was perceived as unconditional. So that's my first intention. Second is to also share through this story how, as a parent, how much influence you have over your child. And then three, how easily as people we follow. Like we don't question things. So I'm sure if you the first time here, you'll understand that I would be considered like the black sheep of the family. Okay. So, black sheep of the family is always the one who sees things and just wants love and light. Literally. Literally wants love and light. But that love and light, it's like as if it's the devil, the way in which it comes out. Anyways, 10 years ago, my sister was going to get married. And the whole setup, I went to um, the guy's house because my mom was friends with her mom. And I was sitting with this lady because my sister, I think she was coming from Joburg back to Durban at the time. She was visiting. And I'm sitting with this woman and I'm just not feeling her vibes. I'm just like, this woman kind of something. She's just very off with me. And basically go back home. My sister comes. My mom's like, quickly change. There's a guy you need to meet. Now that's her friend's son. So basically, this was like an arranged marriage in a way-ish, right? Single mom on one end, and then mom who's married on one end. Eventually, during this process, right? Um, I'm observing how she is interacting with this guy. I'm looking at this guy and I'm just like, this is not, this is big time, like, no. And I kept asking questions and I'd be like, but are you sure? Because she had also just come out of a relationship. And at 30, apparently, you're supposed to have everything. Like you have to have all your things, your ducks in a row, apparently. But those very people who are telling you that you must have all your ducks in a row don't have their ducks in a row. Do you know what I mean? So 13, I was like, kind of like, just be patient. And then it took me to this time where we're sitting around, we've gone for like a Saturday park morning walk, and it's me, my other sister, her husband, and her kids, and then my mom. And I don't know if someone else is there, but anyways, my other sister. And we're sitting around the table and they're trying to advocate for her to get married now. Now they're pushing it. Like my sister's like, no, you're at the right age. So what my older sister did, the oldest from that did, was she made her doubt her own decision, her own feeling. Because this is what happens when the It's like a narcissistic energy that comes through, right? You would make someone doubt themselves to push your own personal agenda for whatever reason, right? And maybe you could just be like helping someone, and granted, that's the case, that's fine. But I could just see, because I was staying with her at home, and I'm just like, something is just not right. And this guy, the mom, big no no. Anyways, it goes to the point where the oldest sister goes, who says she should get married to this guy? And everybody picked up their hands. But I could see the kids like hesitant, but then they eventually picked up their hands. And I was the only one who said, don't do this. And I'm not trying to, in any way or form, um, degrade the marriage that they had. But I go back to those 3 points that I made. I said my intention is to share how people just follow, how you are such an influence to your kids, and how we need to honor now more our spiritual brothers and sisters who have either like spiritual gifts, bungoma, whatever sort of healing they have the foresight to be able to see. We need to lean into that a little bit more if we are to support the ecosystem of how spirit comes down as an experience on earth, and how we are supporting each other. It's like this yin and this yang. And unfortunately, um, they are now split. And one could also say, also, thank you for that, because her energy needed to be restored. She really needed to be restored from the jump. That wasn't a um, good relationship. It was an experience to have, definitely. And then you start questioning. Remember, I said your parents are an influence. How people easily follow. The 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 respect to your spiritual brothers and sisters. You start checking, what is that energy that is attracting that energy? And that's why relationships become such a mirror, that we have to face ourselves. We have to face ourselves and the truth, because we are each other's mirror. We are each other's mirror. And once we can learn to be in relationship through agreement and not assumption, and once we can be more intentional with the relationships that we are planning to or have needed to repurpose, it is important for us to take accountability, because you'll notice that people will love your energy. Okay, they will love your energy up until they have to take accountability for what they said, up until they have to take accountability for what they did, and take accountability for what they didn't do. Because usually we learn about the people more from what they didn't do than what they did do, because we align ourselves to safety. Did they allow safety in this holding space? It all boils down to that at the end of the day. That's how you build deeper connection. But if we are building connection from chaos, then you are groomed to tap deeper into chaos. And then we get shocked with, why is GBV on the rise? Why are there so many situationships? Why are there so many people who are single moms or single parents? Because of the influence that the parent has is so strong that your voice can be stripped away from the feeling and truth that God has given you through a situation. So, if you are also planning to become a parent, make sure that you are able to take accountability for your actions that your kids see too. Because all of this is a natural cycle of life. All of this, as it is a natural cycle, it is cyclical. It is cyclical. Everything is cyclical. What happens through how you planted the seed will determine how through that process the seed blossoms and the shoot comes from the roots and it shoots out. Okay? And how that blossoms out. Another message that I'd actually like to share from that blossoming, right, is we are now sitting in our winter still. Spring is on the 24th of like that heritage weekend, or it's not going to be like full weekend, but that heritage day is spring. It's the new year we are celebrating. And not only are we going to be celebrating the new year in spring, we are also celebrating Pisces, the full moon in Pisces on Sunday, on the 7th of September. With that, these next 3 weeks are going to be so critical for you because you are now going to come into a season where everything is going to be blossoming from what was happening during winter. The truth is now being revealed, and as the truth is being revealed, it is cutoff season, baby. It is cutoff season. And I want you to think of cutoff season as, yes, some of you might lose the people who you thought you couldn't live without. But I want you to understand it from this, because remember I said everything is cyclical. It is so cyclical that there was an intention to plant the seed, right? There was an intention to plant the seed, whether it was by your known intention or by your unknown intention. Remember, spirit is always moving through you regardless. And depending on your alignment to that spirit, whether it's the spirit of low vibration or the spirit who is able to hold high and low, then you'll be able to see what sort of turns out in your life. But here, when we look at cutoff season, I want you to think of the seed. There was an intention when the seed needed to be planted, right? And as that seed was planted, how the nourishment of that seed during that process in its season when it was planted in the soil will determine how the roots also grow and then how the shoot shoots. But now think of it. You are coming into your spring, you're about to blossom, and you are trying to bring in the roots through the shoot. The roots support the shoot, but the roots can't be part of the shoot and the blossoming and then the blooming. Do you understand? Visibly. That's why a lot of relationships are going to need to be repurposed. And as they are going to be repurposed, that means physically, sometimes there's going to have to be distance. Okay? So it is a representation of a seed, if you think about it that way. So stop holding on to people. Stop holding on to people who are only there for your season of nourishing your soil, so that when the shoot comes out of the grass, that fruit, that vegetable, that flower blossoms. Blossoms. Because when your blossom is over, then you bloom. When your bloom comes over, then there's another season as the leaves fall. And as the leaves fall, then it nourishes the grass in order to create warmth for the newness that needs to arrive. So never attach. Instead, start practicing the art of detachment, that this too shall pass, that this too is part of my season. Just have that image in your mind. Intention, seed. Seed, roots. Roots grow down, side, and up as it shoots. And as it shoots, it blossoms. And as it blossoms, it blooms. Then the leaves fall and it regenerates itself all over again. That's why they say the more things change, the more things stay the same. Because intention of the seed, whether unknown or unknown, it is going to be planted. And it will either blossom or not, depending on how did it feel deserving. Now, it said, look at the birds and the bees. They are covered in plant, and the plants, they are taken care of. They are taken care of. Your season of being taken care of is telling the truth and releasing that which is not part of your season. Which is not part of your season. You know, in the South, we technically supposed to celebrate our new year in the spring, but we have adopted the the North's and the West mentality that says we are going to celebrate New Year's in their winter, but it is our summer. People, Nyancel, Nyancel, I'm asking you, please wake up from the sleep. Please. It took me a lot to get to here, and I'm not about to back down. In fact, it's just going to go even deeper and go even more because we are ready to live. We are ready to take back our childhood. Hmm? It is time to take back the childhood that was stripped away from us. It is time to take back our power. It is time to feel safe in our bodies and safe in the world. And it is a time for joy. It is a time for peace that surpasses our own understanding. And it is a time now where if you are not in my season, you won't be able to celebrate me. So leave the people who cannot celebrate you. And it's not that they will never be able to, but once they come into understanding, oh, this is what it was about. This is what you were helping me with. This is why you were part of my season and my cycle, then you will detach from trying to control another's affection towards you, because that affection towards you is the affection that you need to give to yourself, is to no longer reject yourself anymore. Because the reason why you want a relationship is so that you can control someone never ever rejecting you. But the thing is, they will always still ever reject you, because if you reject you, everybody becomes a mirror. So now, sit with yourself. Stop running away from yourself. Stop trying to escape. It's okay if you feel that you want to drink, do it. But if you're doing it to escape, it's okay to eat. But if you're going to eat to escape, it's enjoyable to have, like, make love. But if you're going to do it to escape, it is okay to do something that you need to do in order to support your feeling of goodness. But if you're doing it to escape, then you know that you are not taking accountability. And it is only you who can take accountability for yourself. And it is only you who needs to support yourself. When Jesus said, take up your cross, be ye renewed by the daily, be ye renewed and restored by the daily renewal of your mind. Some people are still stuck when the Bible was apparently written. Do you get? Like, people are still stuck in the Old Testament. There was a New Testament for a reason, because be ye transformed by the daily renewal of your mind. You are meant to change. You are meant to transform. Maybe not your essence, but how your essence evolves from the seed to the roots to the shoot to the blooming to the blossoming to the blooming. Baby, you are supposed to change. And if people want to keep you as a seed, and the thing is, whether you like it or not, nature is helping us. Nature is speaking through these priestesses, these priests, these healers, these artists, these teachers. They're speaking collectively on unconditional love's behalf to say, guys, you better wake up. Wake up from your sleep. Wake up from your dream. It's time to wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up from your dream. Wake up from your sleep. It's time to wake up. Wake up. Okay. Any story that I share is not to tear anybody down. It's to help us understand that there are lessons from each other's pain that we turn into beauty. And through that, it's turning our pain because they mirrored a pain, right? It's like my sister experienced a pain and then I experienced a pain. And it doesn't make one pain better than the other, but it's saying, how do we turn these stories from pain into beauty? How can we alchemize instead of being stuck in that low vibration? So let us celebrate. Let us celebrate. Let us celebrate each other. For me, each time if someone talks about like splitting from their partner, I am sorry for that. And then I'm just like, but who are you going to become? And who has said, hey, there's more to this. There's more freedom awaiting me. I celebrate that version. Um, and then you acknowledge the pain and then celebrate. So, sending so much love. This spirit clearly just needed this to go. And I'm just going to trust that my intentions, it could be felt as pure through sharing this, and that as we share stories on behalf of other people that we've also learned from, that we can honor um, the time frame during that process. We can honor them too, and we can honor our story also being heard from what we've also felt. And we welcome that space. We hold that space because discomfort is here for our transformation. And love it, baby.